It was Wednesday, and you know what that meant. AEW was back on our television. We're just 10, 11 days from All In over here in London. A lot goes down. But before we get to Dynamite, let's get to our co host for this show. As always, it's the Dynamite Diamond, Mr. Parker Hamlet. Hey, mate.
What's up, man? Having some technical difficulties, man. It's a little rainy over there, a little rainy over here. That's just the nature of the beast, man. I mean, you try to make this stuff happen. Adam's all the way over on the other side of the world. I'm over here. But yeah, we had a dynamite. We sure did. Not too far away from me. Took place in Maryland, good old near the DMV. Uh, White, Moxley killed each other. Awesome TV match. I gave this dynamite about 3.5 stars. We got some developing news kind of out of the world. We're 11 days away, as you said, from Wembley. So I think there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. So let's get into it.
Get straight into it. Right. Second, as we say, take two on us. We just so for anyone that doesn't know, we did try this and we cut out and I cut out and then we're back. So we did start to talk about Ilya Dragunov, who's left the WWE. I turned around to you and said, this is a priority signing for Tony Khan. And I think you agree.
100%. I mean, it's just a no-brainer for Tony. You look at guys like Ricky Saints in WWE right now who, sure may have pinned Obafemi in NXT, but now make their way to main roster and they're already lost in the shuffle. Ilya was the guy that kind of got lost in the shuffle too, despite some kind of mild push he received, with the mid-card title, putting on some great matches. But I think he realized he hit that glass ceiling and let his deal expire. As of today, he is in the alumni section. So no contract dispute. Obviously, probably going to be a little bit of time between when he's going to be able to be on TV, and when his contract expired. I'm sure there's like a non-compete clause or whatever the hell you call it. So I would hope he'd be on AEW programming sooner rather than later. That's just a natural fit for AEW. I mean, him mixing up with Ospreay, Moxley, just I could name guy after guy in the company that he would just mix it up with and put on banger after banger, and it would be probably the best matches we'd get in recent memory. So like I said, I think that's a very natural signing for AEW. I definitely agree with you in that sentiment, and I think that's a no-brainer.
It is. Well, because his contract is up, there is no 90-day compete.
That's right. That's right. I wasn't quite sure about that. So
So he could
it's
do he could actually show up at TNA Lockdown Sunday.
sure could, or he could challenge Will Ospreay for the AEW World Title. I'm just kidding. That's not a prediction, guys. It's not a prediction. But seriously, just the thought of those two guys going at it. Oh my God. Oh, whew. That's
Jeez.
just, man, must see television right there.
It is.
Speaking of must see TV, I just want to say I was blown away by Jay White and Moxley. I just want to say at the top of the episode, I rated this Dynamite 3.5 on Dropkick. I thought those two just knocked it out the park. Jay White suffered a loss. I know we got some other things we want to talk about, the ups and the downs of Dynamite, but what did you think of that match? Did you think that was the right decision for Jay to lose like that? I thought Mox did a phenomenal job of making Jay look strong even in defeat.
I thought he made him look strong in defeat. I still don't think it was the right call. We are still nowhere near seeing the Jay White that we know and love, and I think it's becoming a problem. Match quality, there's no doubt, there. But I always look at it and I always say there's two things that I usually say. When you take defeat after defeat after defeat, your stock drops, your believability drops, and everything else. He's been out a while, he's come back, he looked great. But the other way I look at it is sometimes you take defeat, then you get a big win, like a money in the bank, right?
Exactly. And that's where I'm going with this is that audiences like it when those victories are earned. I mean, if you just have Moxley go ahead and put him over out the gate, then I don't think that builds much, storyline or sentimentality with the audience. So I just think it's the right move to have Moxley kind of be this proverbial mountain for Jay to climb. Maybe that's not the story they're telling here, but if you really want Jay to be like a hot baby face, he's really going to have to earn it because I just don't think he's earned that with the audience. And I guess that's why this worked for me, and it seems like it didn't work for you for the same reasons. But I definitely thought that was the bright spot of Dynamite for sure.
Excellent. Well, we'll get into a bit more of that in a second. Right, Trip, the trios match was first. Now, again, full disclosure, we'd already discussed this prior to us cutting out, but we're going to discuss it again. United Empire against the Don Callis family. It was Brian Cage, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer. I will go ahead and say what I said before. I watched this in picture in picture. Taz called Rocky Romero an underrated worker, only for literally him to botch a move straight after he said it, which I just thought was probably one of the highlights of my night in that one. But look, it was no surprise the United Empire was going to win this. There was no surprise Will Ospreay was going to pick up the victory, given the fact that he's going to All In a week or so's time. This was just kind of your run of the mill. Let United Empire pick up the win. Let Ospreay pick the pinfall up just to keep him ticking over. But he's got more to do on Dynamite this week.
Yeah, and like I said before we cut out too, this was a really bloated multi-man slash multi-woman card.
Mm,
We got two six-man tags that kind of perverted the main event picture, and then we got the four-way for the TBS title between the women. And I thought both these six-man tags were serviceable at best, and
mm.
kind of just got lost in the shuffle with a lot of it. A lot of the action didn't feel necessarily inspired, in my opinion. I think that the main event program in particular right now, Adam, is interesting because there doesn't seem to be a sense of definitive direction with Omega's character. You have him save Osprey a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, but each week it's just like we either get these guys are best friends or Omega's just a shit eating heel who's trying to run down Osprey and his country. And I'm not quite sure. I mean, I get that like it's nuanced and like you have tweeners and some characters can do both, and that's kind of when we get the best of Omega is when he's doing the whole bit he did when he was taking on Hangman and their great rivalry. But do you feel like there's a little bit of a balancing act right now with Omega's character? Did you like what you saw this week? Do you like them more as competing rivals, or do you like them more as heel Omega kind of disrespecting Osprey?
I think they're doing it more so because they know that the Wembley crowd would be giving Kenny Omega a hero's welcome anyway. Despite the fact that he's taken on, actually Essex's greatest, second greatest son behind me, Will Ospreay. Um, no, I think that's what they're doing. I prefer the cleaner. That is a simple. That's the my preference in this. I don't know whether they were just trying, if it was something like maybe this is an experiment to sort of go between you, we're great friends, we've got this big respect, but I'm going to kick this seven bells of shit out of you anyway. I don't know if they were doing it that way. My preference for Kenny Omega is the cleaner, but I didn't dislike what they'd done. But I just feel there was the purpose for them doing it is to try and make the Wembley crowd boo Kenny in next Sunday.
I get short term. I mean, you're right. In the short term, that's definitely the goal for sure, for certain. But for me to have Omega say, like, you tried to do it on your own the last time we took each other on at Forbidden Door is also not true.
Mm.
Because if I'm not mistaken, Osprey was aligned with the Don Callis family, and there's even a spot in the match where Callis gave Osprey a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And like I really thought this was gonna be like an actual definitive one-on-one match, and that's what they were kind of building towards. Let the best man win,
Mm.
kind of build up that tension throughout the weeks. But like, it just kind of seems like you said, they're doubling down on the fact that like they don't want this crowd at All In to just be too much on Kenny's side, obviously due to the fact that unless barring a crazy turn of events, Osprey is going to go over here. I just not a huge fan of like the week to week changes in character. Like it's really tough for me, Adam. It is
Mm.
because I'm not trying to go on too much of a rant here, but one of the things that I really do like about WWE is that there is like a centralized type of approach with the characters.
Yeah.
And you have people like Cope who come out and say, "Well, yeah, it's overproduced," and they don't give you much range to like do the things that you want to do and kind of make those alterations with your character. But there is a such thing as like an inconsistency in storytelling. So
Mm.
I'm not a big fan of this like week to week build up for their match because I really do think that the match does sell itself.
Yeah.
And I think that the build to this match has been a little bit sloppy after kind of a promising start. But
Agreed.
obviously the match itself is going to be killer. But just having Omega just kind of go full heel here. Just kind of felt unearned to me. I did like the production of the segment. I did
Mm.
like how it all worked out. And obviously, they ended the show with their angle with the one winged angel through the table as well, which I thought was pretty effective. Strong, you know, switch up to Omega just going full on heel here that I found kind of unearned.
Yeah, definitely. Omega, does he rejoin a Don Callis family? Maybe.
I mean, doesn't it seem that way? Like, isn't this the same kind of character that he was playing during that time, if I'm not mistaken? So,
Mhm.
like I was kind of wondering like how much the Death Riders were going to factor into this, how much United Empire was going to factor in this. They could have told an interesting story there. I feel like they're not really even scratching the surface with that.
Mm.
I feel like they're trying to like just grab so much of these two's history that none of it just really feels cohesive. So just let the match sell itself. We don't need all these, you know, tricks to get there, in my opinion. I think you can really just kind of tell a simple story here and let the match sell itself.
Yeah, I think so. I think I totally agree with that. So we're gonna just go over everything. They've done this sit down, as you kind of mentioned. Omega was shitting on England. He was shitting on Ospreay through this all. Mentioned his son. He tried to make it a personal thing.
Yeah, that felt out of character to me, Adam. I mean,
Yeah.
is did that feel natural to you?
Again, I go back to my point and saying that I think this is more to try and garner the heat because no doubt, and to be fair, it's his stepson, but we won't go into that. But it's kind of like, look, I get it and I get why, and you know, trying to get this reaction at Wembley, which I don't, they will get it, but it'll be one of those things where when Omega gets introduced, he's going to get a big cheer. He will then start healing it up, I think, against Ospreay in the match, and I think he'll get it then. But if the point is for him to be booed from the start, it's not going to happen.
No, people are never going to boo MJF. He's just too damn good at what he does. I mean, it's 2026. If a performer is over, then good luck getting them booed. I don't know. It just felt like cheap heat to me. And yeah, sure, you can bring up the family. It just like I said, cheap heat in my opinion. You could have really just like made this about wrestling. And I know this. I almost sound like someone who's like outraged by this segment, but it just kind of felt cheap to me. Like Kenny was just saying things like I would almost be more interested in Adam in a story of like Kenny, almost trying too hard because he wants to lose, and then have
Yeah.
Osprey be like, "Oh yeah, I don't really think you want to win at Wembley. I think you think you're a made man, Kenny. I think you're ready to be done with this. Like
Mm.
like kind of challenge him to be the Kenny of old, and basically tell Kenny that he's washed, and that's Kenny's legacy versus Osprey instead of this cheap, like you said, Don Callis level type heel that they're now presenting. I just think it's almost an insult to some of the stories that you could be telling here. I know I'm being really critical, and it sounds like I didn't like this episode of Dynamite, but this was a little bit of shift in that story that I was just kind of like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a point of it when Osprey, before Kenny went out for his trio, before it all kicked off at the end, where he said, "Don't get hurt" and stuff like that, which is again low. It's kind of low hanging fruit. This all of it's kind of low hanging fruit for me.
Exactly. And this is the alternative because that's the type of shit you say on WWE programming. Like you're watching like KO and CM Punk go at it, and they're using all these meta references and they're not saying anything explicitly. Whereas I feel like AEW has the grace to kind of say those things explicitly because they're not really answering to anybody other than Tony Khan. I mean, we're talking about a company that aired the brawl out footage. I mean, that aired
Yeah.
the Jack Perry and Punk footage, bro. Like that's the same company that did that, and you guys are coming out with this cheap heat bullshit. It just felt like cheap TV. It's like when anybody goes out there and talks to Punk, and they're just like, "Oh, you're just a bitter old man," blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, man, we've heard all this shit before. Like, give us something new, you know?
Yeah, definitely so. But yeah, the end of Dynamite. So we're going to talk about the end. He put, as you said, he one winged angel through the table. He pulled a face. Do you know the face? And it feels like the face that he pulled was like, when you're constipated and you're trying to force it out. That was
Yeah,
the face Omega pulled during that afterwards. But anyway, that is how Dynamite ended. We are going to talk about the rest of Dynamite, but it was just best to cover it all off in one go because Osprey kicked off. The Elite won their match, by the way, and that's where it all started from. Then Osprey come out and then it all kicked off at the end. The number one, we mentioned trios. Well, there was another trio bit on this. There was Okada, Fletcher, and Takeshita returning back from, I think it was in New Japan. I think he was in a G1, if I remember rightly. Basically, for want of a better phrase, this was a setup for the trios match that we're going to be getting at All In. There was a bit of a to do with Takeshita and Fletcher. There was a good fuck Don Callis chant, which was always nice to hear every in this. But again, this was just kind of build to where we're going to get to next week. But with Takeshita raising the championship, do you now think that he's not going to win at All In?
I think Fletcher should win.
You think Fletcher's going to win?
I just want to say that outright.
Mhm.
I think that Fletcher's been on a crazy run. I don't want it to feel like it was in vain, like this title run where he's put on this pretty solid amount of TV matches. I think in a triple threat match where you don't really have a definitive person as like this guy should definitely go over, you should just kind of have the champion retain and just have a good match. I
Mm.
mean, these three are just capable of killing each other. I mean, it makes sense for Takeshita to win. You can make an argument for Okada. He's probably the person I'm the least high on. And, Okada said some interesting things with Dynamite as well. But, I mean, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like Takeshita is going to go over here? Obviously, this isn't our predictions quite
No.
yet. We still got 11 days till All In. But, we can kind of do a temperature check on that.
Exactly. We'll do our predictions next week, of course. Before I head, might even video you from All In if you get a set. I know you're busy on Sundays, but if I meet up with David, I might just see if you're available and give you a video from there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I always thought Takeshita was winning this, but it's the same old thing with wrestling, is it? If you hold that championship up before you get the week or two before, mind you, there is another week, which I assume Okada may get the better of it next week, perhaps. And that falls into what you're saying of Fletcher retaining. I thought Takeshita was a shoe-in to win this. I'm not so certain now. I'd probably go along the lines with you. I don't expect Okada to win. I think he's just going to be there, not to say to make the numbers up, because the match is going to be great. They're going to kill each other. But I'm kind of aligning with you here. I think this has got more of a Fletcher retain now than a Takeshita championship win.
That's the age old adage, really, with the triple threats is like, when
Mm.
in doubt, just have the champion retain and build some future stories. You could also make the argument that Okada kind of getting a lot of, shit in this week could arguably, up his stock. But, next week is really going to be kind of the tipping point on where we're going with this, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely so. They had that long Osprey Omega bit, which you've already covered, and we went to then the. I feel as if these four are always wrestling at the minute. My World, Statlander, Persephone, Shida, and it was solid. Statlander went for the Wednesday Night Fever. I think she called this on a Wednesday. My World rolls her up, so she's kind of, for me, My World's is kind of being portrayed as the fluky champion. She finds a way, but it's generally a roll up. It's generally, not a definitive way to win a match, in my opinion. I just, I'm kind of getting bored of these four people. But is this where we're talking about Bailey and someone coming in? Are they just kind of going through the motions because they know what's coming up?
Adam, I've been bored with this from jump. I never, I didn't, I've been transparent about that on the show. If you guys don't believe me, go back a couple episodes. This has been some uninspired shit.
Hmm.
And it's been so uninspired and overproduced and clunky that it all just kind of blurs together. And if you put a gun to my head and said, tell me everything that's happened with all four of these performers the last 3 to 4 weeks, I don't think I could do it. And
Hmm.
that's mainly because it's all just that uninteresting to me. And if it is all just fodder, all just filler until Bailey shows her face in AEW, then that proves that they need her now more than ever. Because
Yeah.
once again, who is Personifi, or however the hell you say her name? Who is Maya World or Personifi? I don't know, Adam. Don't look at me like that.
Persephone.
Persephone. Who are these people? What's their character, Adam? What do they bring to the table as performers? Like, if I'm them, I'm like, man, fuck Bailey. We don't need Bailey in AEW. You got me. I mean, Maya should be riding just a high right now. She just had a damn match of the year contender with Mercedes Moné, and now she's just like you said, being portrayed as like this little fairy tale, and not in the cool Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson kind of way. So I just, man, I hate that I don't enjoy this as much as I do. It just feels extremely uninspired to me.
Interesting you mentioned Persephone in that. Rumors have it because she's under a dual contract with CMLL and AEW. However, there is rumors that should she want to freshen herself up after those contracts expired, that WWE are interested in Persephone. Now, if WWE gets her, do they, because of her look, do they look at her as like a Raquel Rodriguez? Does the WWE fit Persephone more than AEW, or is she fine, but just not with any direction right now?
I mean, if I'm being honest, Adam, I don't know enough about her from a character perspective. And on top of that, like, sure, she's pretty solid in ring, but like we're watching WWE programming, and like, sure, she could probably go to NXT and get some TV time, but like Blake Monroe debuted on main roster, and that almost feels like an afterthought due to the fact of just how bloated and stacked the women's division is on main roster right now. So isn't it smarter to just kind of stay where you're at and build your character up and earn fanfare with the I just don't feel like a transition to WWE is quite earned yet. I don't know. How are you feeling about that?
I just don't know where she fit, like where she would fit right now in WWE. I think they've got.
Exactly.
I always say that you move with a purpose, right? My biggest criticism with WWE is they call these people up from the NXT and have no fucking direction for them, and they end up like a Ricky Saints, right? Prime example. You've already
But
covered.
Ricky had pissed everybody off in AEW. Ricky pissed off Cope, pissed off Tony. Like the only person who seemed to like him was Punk, and then Punk was gone. So I
Yeah.
mean, Ricky had nowhere else to go. Whereas like Persephone is like I don't think she's earned enough stock or fanfare to want to think, yeah, I can make this leap and I'm gonna get TV time. I don't see where she fits in. So I echo your sentiment.
I want to ask you a question, and this is a real random one because I was just thinking about it, right? You know these former WWE guys that have gone to join AEW, and it's kind of like a fan, like a mark question, I think they would call it. In your opinion, which one would get the biggest pop if they done a surprise return to WWE?
Okay, so I say that question one more time. You're saying if okay, just one more time.
So you think of the people that have left WWE to AEW, right? Think of them all of them from the day one, right? The ones that have left. Out of the ones that are still in AEW now, so think of all of the ex WWE ones in AEW, which one, if they were to make a surprise return to WWE, say the Royal Rumble, number 30 comes and music hits, which one would get the biggest reaction from the crowd?
Dude, that's such a good question. Oh my God, I wish I knew known you were going to ask this. So now I'm kind of trying to like just think of this shit on the fly. So
I know my answer, and it's no hesitation.
ex-WWE guys who were in WWE who are now in AEW, if they came back to WWE, would get the biggest reaction. That's your
I've got no
question.
hesitation. Mox.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, oh God, but they're just gonna call him Dean Ambrose. It's gonna make me throw up. You know someone who. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some names. We're gonna power rank them here on the show.
Okay.
Mox, Copeland, fuck it, Edge, Dean, Edge, Jericho, and yeah, let's go those three. Who do you think they'd pop the biggest for?
It's a toss up between. Do you know that's three damn good in terms of like reactions they've had over the course of time. That's three big.
Crazy to say I'm sorry. Is it crazy to say like Jericho might get the biggest pop? Like before Jericho was, before he re-signed with AEW, I
Mhm.
thought he was a guarantee to return at the
Oh,
Rumble. And
yeah.
I was stunned that it didn't happen. And like that's going to be one of the biggest what ifs in recent memory, in my opinion. Is like what would the reception have been for Jericho and I
Mm.
thought it would have been outstanding because like
Yeah.
we saw Edge's return was during COVID or close to
Yeah.
COVID. I don't really count a lot of his last WWE run. Like some of it just really doesn't count a lot in my opinion. You know, a lot of WWE fans, we talked about this last week a little bit, kind of see Mox going to AEW as like this betrayal, but
Hmm.
like Jericho's kind of still Jericho.
Mm. Yeah, I think.
So
Yeah, that is a tough. That is, well, that's a better question than my one because it's kind of the same question. You've just tweaked it and added three wrestlers into it instead. Because I didn't hesitate and said Mox. I thought Mox all day long. But then there's the reaction to the music, right? Because it not would necessarily be the music, it may be the screen with Mox that would pop up, right? And you'd be like, oh shit. But then you've got Metalingus and the crowd. You think you know me, everyone shits himself and goes crazy. I had the Jericho return at the Rumble planned out. The clock was counting down, and then at three, it goes to the Jericho Tron. Three, two,
it
one.
just, I think it's Jericho. I think Jericho gets the biggest pop. I really do. Because like you said on the show not too long ago, and I don't know whether you said it or I said it. I'm gonna say you said it. Like a lot of it's just your theme song, and like the audience in WWE has such a relationship with Jericho,
Hmm.
and I feel like Mox, like it's just Shield or die.
Yeah.
Edge, he had his run, and obviously I'd say his is the second best, but like you know I I feel like Dean Ambrose is just long gone, but like Jericho has kind of maintained that same. Like I don't when I look at Moxley, I don't see Dean Ambrose anymore. I
No.
don't. Like it's
No.
not even the same person, bro. And you can make that argument for Cope. Really, you
Mhm.
could
Yeah.
if you looked at him now at the end of his last WWE runs. So I think if you wanted somebody to like plug and play right now, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, it's Chris Jericho. He hasn't wrestled in WWE since 2018, 2019." Like they would they would believe that shit, man.
Yeah.
And it'd be a plug and play. That's why I thought it was gonna happen.
I thought it was a dead cert as well, to be honest. I was really surprised he come back to AEW. But
Yeah, you pinned me in a corner with that. I was ready for your ass. I think those three names, that is a tough decision, like of who would get the biggest pop.
I'm gonna put that question to the other members of Hitting the Turnbuckle, Michael, Bobby, and David, and not necessarily Fiona because she's not WWE, but I'll put the rest to the rest of them and see what they think. Because that is a I've tried to stump you and then you stump me, you bastard, absolute bastard. Right. Anyway, let's move on. The Brawling Birds, they spoke about their match at Wembley. Here's a quick one because we're going to talk about him. Actually, I'll talk about that after. Brawling Birds with their match at Wembley. We know they're going to face Divine Dominion. Nothing needed to be said about that. Then we moved to Jay White Mox, which was this fantastic match that you. But here's my gripe again: the fucking pass out and not the. But in this case.
I thought of you, man. I was wondering if you were gonna bring it up. I was wondering. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But, and here's where I contradict myself. Does the tap out do more damage to Jay White than the pass out?
For sure. I mean, the body gives out before the mind does,
Hmm.
or however the fuck that goes. I'm probably butchered that too, but I feel like I think that it's permissible for you to literally pass out more than it is for you to give up. Because then
Hmm.
Moxley can just call Jay a bitch and be like, well, I'm your dad. I made you give up, Jay. So go switchblade your ass to catering. But that wasn't the case here. So I think it was really the only way you could make Jay White look like a rock star and still lose to Moxley at the same time. I do have a couple more notes about Dynamite of
Mhm.
things I liked and things I didn't, but I definitely, like I said earlier, I think this was for sure the highlight. I think it was the best way you could have handled this. I think another. I'm not trying to segue because I'm sure you got some more sentiments about this, but I thought the women's segment with Willow and Mercedes was more heated than most men's pull apart brawls.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
thought that was a great representation. Crowd was into it. Like it's just all about making everybody look strong. And
Mm.
I guess my counter to you, Mr. Ace,
Yeah.
is since I'm just putting back playing hot potato with you today, is how would you have booked the finish to this match?
Well, I'd have had Jay White go over for a big win. That was my whole
How the
point.
how?
That's a good now. That's a bit. I reckon. Potentially, maybe Mox is getting too overconfident. He thinks he's got the job done. He goes to the Bulldog choke. Jay White pushes him off. Mox runs back into it, gets counted into the switchblade for like a one of those split-second victories that you can get where you just because that switchblade you can hit when you're running, right? Mox is running
Yeah.
in, he catches him, bang, and it's over. And it's just one of those quick ones where he catches Moxley out. More so than that, Ray. Mox doesn't look too weak because, Jay White has been out a long time. So you have to remember that. That's how I would have done it. And again, I think my point being is I thought the pass out worked better than the tap out because it would have made it worse for Jay in that
My
sense.
counter to you is what was the injury that they were saying Jay White had?
What was his neck, right? Was it not his neck?
Wouldn't it have made so much sense? Because there was a moment in this match where Moxley rolls out the ring, and I was like, wouldn't it have been so sick if you would have like built up to like him getting Moxley with the Blade Runner and have Moxley roll out the ring, maybe buy some time with the Death Riders, and then just have him come in and just like attack that neck and just go fucking ballistic with it and just sell into that injury. And then
Hmm.
it's just like at least like a somewhat of a reason for Jay to lose, other than like you said, and this is me playing devil's advocate of it just being another pass out victory. That's your first person though I've heard that like has questioned that as like a wrestling trope, and I think that the more AEW leans on this consistently, the more this conversation is going to take place with other big wigs in the wrestling business. So you might be the first person I've heard that's pushed it, and I
Hmm.
think that is a conversation that is going to start being had more.
Assuming it was a neck injury, what they could have done, and again, it would to get him to pass out was they could have had him get into the switchblade, roll out back to the other, like roll out of it, and then start clubbing his neck and then locking him in the bulldog choke or something. So he's literally like smashing the shit out of his neck and then going for it and then having
Well,
him pass out.
okay, and one more thing, and just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, I feel like Mox's entire character now is like, I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I low key do mixed martial arts, and I'm not trying to hit some big fancy dirty deeds on you. I'm just gonna choke you the fuck out and turn the lights off. And I don't care how ugly that is. I don't care if the fans like it. All I care about is that you go to sleep. And if that's his character, then I guess that's why the finish here didn't necessarily, hurt me in that regard. So
Hmm.
that's why I said Dean Ambrose is dead because this is not a Dean Ambrose type of finish.
Hmm.
So I guess that's why it worked for me. But like you said, it is kind of starting to become a little bit of a trope.
Man, I just want to change subject a minute. I want to wish Mark Sterling all the best. Did you see the landing on Ring of Honor?
Oh,
Fuck me.
I thought he died. I was like, what the fuck happened?
I
Like
think it was.
I'm sorry. It's
I
not
think
funny.
he. I think the funniest bit was. I'm pretty sure someone picked up on it. The referee goes outside and says, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No." It's
You know
like-
what it looked like? Who the fuck did Randy Orton RKO and he just fucking went straight on his neck? Was it Ricochet?
Might have been.
It just
Might
like literally did a headstand. I was like, oh my god, that's not how you do that. It reminded me of that. Was that on Collision?
Ring of Honor, I thought.
Ring of Honor. Like, you know how I saw that, Adam? And I know that, this is going to be a slap to the face of people like you who watch literally everything. But like, one of the first things I saw when I opened my Twitter feed the other day was, meanwhile, Mark Sterling almost dying on a random episode of Ring of Honor. And then I saw the spot and I was like, holy shit.
I mean, it was mad. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. But hopefully he's all right. I mean, Jesus, that
Yeah.
was a
He
fucking.
said he wasn't, but let's
Oh, well, what a stupid fucking question to ask him, though. I mean, just like you broke your neck. Are you okay? What the fuck do you think? Like, seriously. But what we're forgetting out of this, and we've just talked about Jay White and Mox and everything else,
Oh,
we forgot the end of this because the man, and this is fucking hated this. What was the point in the dogs and the conglomeration? Gabe Kidd comes back, great. That's great. I like Gabe, but. What was the whole point of that last point segment after? Didn't need it.
no, man. It's like It's like Tony's coked up backstage, and he's just like, "All right, I know we did this segment last week, but this is what we're doing this week." And I'm just
Mm,
like, "Okay, but like, what's the fucking story here?" Like,
yeah.
that's why when Kenny bringing up his kid was just out of pocket, and then why did we need to do a one wing angel through a table? Like,
Mhm.
I it, I don't know, man. It's like they're trying to do too much at once when they've got two guys that can get us there without all of the foreplay. Is how
Exactly.
I
Yeah. But Hangman did say during this segment that he challenges any trio to a match at dusk at Wembley. So are we going to
holy
get?
shit, I'm talking about the wrong segment. Which segment are you talking about?
Oh, I was talking about the running, but did he not? Did he not challenge it? Any trio's point at that point? Did he not call out any trio at the end of this point? At
That's
the
right.
end of
That's right. That's right. That's right. I got the show order mixed up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
he
most
calls them out.
obvious New Day tease ever, right?
Well, New Dusk in this sense because he called out the New Dusk. But obviously, Swerve does come out later and say, "You said anybody," and then that kind of fits into what we're going to say, what we think's going to happen. But how do they come out and have them instantly know who they are? Because in AEW, are they going to say? Are they going to do like the Big E bit where they used to go when he used to say, "Oh, London" or whatever? Are they going to do that? How are they going to do it so people know who they are?
Look, I say take the opposite approach. You just have Swerve come out there, and they're just on each side of him, just ice the fuck out, just swagged out, bro. Like have these two just like new men, like they're not wearing pink, no unicorn horns, no grand introduction. Just be like, yep, this is us now. We're here. We're not under those shackles anymore. We are here to do our thing in AEW, and it's a new era for us. So a lot like I said, Moxley is no longer Dean Ambrose. I don't think these two performers are going to look like the New Day much in their presentation in AEW from now on.
Do you not think they might play the trombone just at the start?
I don't want them to.
No, you want it to be totally different from what you had.
Do you want like a similar package to what they had? I don't.
What I wouldn't mind is if they done the trombone because so the crowd knows, right? But to echo your point, they have the shit on, right? The fucking multicolored fucking throwing pancakes and all that shit, and then they rip it off to just like have be the new what the Mogul Embassy, right? That was Swerve's thing. The,
Yeah, it's
and then you have
a
the leather
natural
jackets and
progression.
fuck knows what else on underneath.
It's kind of funny to me to think about them coming out in the same shit and just some people being like, nope, they're not wearing multicolored, they're not pink, they don't have fucking instruments. I can't accept this. You're right though. Probably like to pull out like they're kind of destroying the throne Cody moment.
Mm.
But I don't think there's much like fuck WWE sentiment behind these two guys either. So I think they should just kind of come out and kind of do what Cope did and just kind of just try something new. I am interested to see kind of what you're saying of like how they're going to tie it into their previous characters in WWE. So I kind of like the idea of them coming out presenting as if they're the same and then kind of pulling a fast one to the live audience. I really like that idea a lot, actually.
Or they could play the video that Creed, fucking is Creed, right? Austin Creed. They could play the video that they put out. Do you remember the free horses or the free thingies? And then, I don't know. No, maybe they could do that. Fuck knows. We'll see. Look, we haven't got long to find out. We've got about 11 days and then they're coming in. Here's a question, though, quickly. Where the fuck are the Motor City machine guns?
Collision Cowboys, brother.
They're not even on
They're
fucking Collision. Haven't been seen in 2.5 weeks.
that when I think you're fucking washed and you're not getting any TV time, I'm just gonna call you a collision cowboy. That's just kind of my new bit. Like those guys are like Tony's giving them fucking stacks to be there, and he knows he can call them if there's a dynamite happening. He can call them Tuesday night at 10 p.m. and be like, "Hey guys, I need you to put over Creed and Kingston tomorrow on Dynamite. Can you do it?" And they're like, "Sure, we'll catch the next flight." I just kind of see them as a reliable nostalgia act. Are you expecting more from them at this point?
Well, I'd like to fucking see them. That's half the problem, right? They're not even on Collision at the minute.
You watch Collision. Just watch Collision. They're on Collision.
They're not on Collision. They're not even been there. This is the thing. I wouldn't mind if they are on Collision. I wouldn't care. But they're not. They're fucking nowhere. They're in catering. They were doing what they're doing in WWE right now.
Tony should, is there a catering champion?
Fucking might as well be. Jesus. Britt Baker will be there. She's been the champion for about 4 years.
God, does Tony ever locked up in a fucking basement somewhere? What is going on,
I
man?
will lay money now that
Oof.
she's on the Dynamite in a few weeks when they do the one for Rebel, the special one for Rebel.
I don't even know if I want that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if I want it. I mean, I just think it's going to happen. But anyway, let's try and get back to let's try and bring this show back in. Apart from this whole, you know, I might have a sign at fucking All In. Where's the gun? Like, you know when you used to go, "Where's Wally?" and you had a load of pictures and you had to try and find the guy. Where's the guns? And then have like Saban and Shelley picture like in the middle of all these other things. Anyway, right. Let's get back to the reality. Right, Jonathan Cruz, he delivered. What the fuck where's he come from anyway? What's up? Well, like, why? Spanish translator for MJF.
There was a lot of random shit going on in this Dynamite, man. There really was. Like I said, I don't like how much WWE like talks down to their audience and basically assumes that they're Neanderthals, but like it is at least somewhat cohesive.
Yeah.
Whereas like Dynamite sometimes just feels like a random independent show thrown together on a day's notice on some weeks. And I know that's really fucking condescending, and trust me, I mean that in a good and a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that sentiment? I know it sounds condescending, but like this really did kind of feel like a thrown together Dynamite in a lot of ways.
It certainly. Anyway, he delivered a message to Andrade, who obviously responds with how you know. And look, they're going to be number one and two in this gauntlet, all in. That's what we do know. We don't know who else is in the fucking gauntlet, but we know them two are one and two. That's it for now. That's really all we can say about it. MJF wasn't there this week, so there was no real enhancement to what those two are going to do. So, but you did mention a great brawl between Mercedes and Willow, which looked like their fucking rent was due. These two, I mean, they have this legit, and it's great because they're actually showing up Omega and Osprey, really.
You said it. You said it. I was gonna. You and I had not talked about this at all, but like that was like one of my mental notes, and I was just gonna see if you would say that because there is at least a consistent through line with their story. Whereas, like you know, Omega and Osprey, like I said, has just kind of been sloppy. These two have been consistently good week in and week out. And the argument, as of right now, 11 days to all in could be made. They could have a better match.
They could be. They certainly could. They certainly could do. Right, guess what we get now? We get another pass out to a submission hold now. Um, McGuinness and Hechicero. Right, here's my problem. And it's not just the fucking pass out. McGuinness has practically been on one leg all week. Why the fuck didn't Hechicero go for the leg?
This was I don't know how much of this was selling and how much of this was just Nigel did not look good. This match was probably the worst on the card, in my opinion. Hot take. Like, you had commentary really pushing this shit hard. And I know a lot of people have a soft spot for Nigel. And, like, I know they're trying to tell a story with him. But, like, it's like watching, you know, who's that guy that Keith Lee feuded with in WWE back in the NXT days?
Who's Keith Lee?
Dijakovic.
Oh, Dijak. Yeah.
Dijak. Like, he looks like Dijak if, like, he was, like, working in slow motion.
He looked like Dijak from Retribution rather than the actual Dijak, right?
From Retribution. Forgot about Retribution. Oh, we're having too much fun this week, man. Can you guys tell we're fucking marks yet? Oh my god! Like holy shit! Did he even wrestle when he was in Retribution?
Yeah, that was the worst of it.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. Look, Someone's judging. I'm literally crying. I literally forgot Retribution existed until Adam just said that. So I'm in tears. But
I'm
like
going to think
I'm
that way
watching,
about the fucking machine guns in a couple of weeks if I don't see you.
bro. It's just like Nigel is fighting it or is wrestling like I fight in my dreams. Just like it just looks tough. And I don't know if that's what they're going for. Am I missing something here or?
Well, my question is actually going to be like you're going to have the tag team women, Windsor and Jamie, probably winning the women's tag titles. We're going to have Osprey. He's pretty much favorite to beat Omega. Are they just doing this so McGuinness gets to the fucking final and takes on Moxley and potentially beats Moxley?
Crazy. I'm sorry. Could you imagine him pinning Moxley right now? Like, does that
No,
make sense to you?
no, it doesn't.
I think Moxley should fucking squash him. Like, I'm not
Literally.
seeing anything right now that like warrants that outcome
Do they
of
get a
of
title
not.
shot? Does the winner of this get a world title shot? Can you
I
remember?
thought they should get a T-shirt.
Eh? A
I'm,
t-shirt. Fuck.
I'm just, I'm just kidding. I have no fucking idea what they get. I'll look it up. Hold on.
The only reason I say it is it makes more sense for Mox to win it if Osprey's winning the championship.
Well, Nigel's gonna get a free trip to the hospital if he fights Moxley
Well,
because
well, the only thing that may happen is that McGuinness may lose next week, for argument's sake, and maybe he'll be in the Casino Gauntlet,
who's
perhaps.
he?
Well, it's blind. Well, it's a blind draw, so I don't. Nobody knows at the moment.
We're talking about the Continental Cup, right?
Yes, not the Continental Classic. That's a different tournament. They'll be starting in a couple of weeks after all in.
You need to tell. You need to fucking text Tony, man, and tell him he's got to chill with all this. Um, the the winner gets a trophy that they keep permanently. Um, yeah, I think it's just a trophy.
Fine. Okay, so they don't get any title shot. So McGuinness is going to win it then.
I guess.
Well, if there's no world championship, what's the? It's just a cup. England and
Yeah,
England don't normally win fucking cups. So it's.
hey, you said it, not me.
Oh, I live here, man. I'm fucking used to it. Jesus. Yeah, me and Burrows support the same soccer team. It took us 30 fucking years to win the trophy until a couple of years ago. So I'm used to this shit. So
Look, man,
it's like
it took 20 fucking years for me to see the Commanders even reach a conference title game. So I
I thought you was
understand.
gonna say it took 25 years for you to see Commanders win.
Fuck. They still haven't won in my lifetime. So yeah, I understand the shit misery, brother. I get it.
We were there. Anyway, McGuinness wins. Now, we get to a segment very similar to the Jeff Hardy segment on SmackDown, I think it was a good few years ago. They're talking about Darby Allin, this Falls Count Anywhere match. Kevin Knight calls him out. It was quite weird because Sting's son was in the cameo of that vignette, who's, by the way, signed by AEW. Surprise, surprise, in that sense. Darby Allin comes out and the pyro goes off right all in his face. It's crazy. It just mirrors it. People remember the Jeff Hardy pyro segment on SmackDown 10, 15 years ago. It just mirrored that. Is this so it's like no one expects Darby Allin to win at Wembley and then he's going to go and beat Kevin Knight at Wembley and win the championship back?
Yeah, I mean, I would like for Kevin Knight to win at Wembley and kind of win in an inventive way, but like it seems like his one up on Darby is just gonna be this because apparently Darby's gonna jump out of a off top of Wembley and do a coffin drop like we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Uh, I like the idea of him outsmarting Darby, and I think these two are gonna have a good match. Don't get it twisted, all jokes aside, but yeah, I you're right. This was very reminiscent of the Jeff Hardy pyro thing, and
Mhm.
I was wondering where I had felt the familiarity of it before, and you just kind of joggled my memory on that. So I don't really. I want Kevin Knight to win at Wembley. I just don't see it happening.
I have another theory. You're saying about he outsmarts Darby Allin. So what if he gets Sting's son to join him and cost Darby Allin? The Sting's sons miraculously appeared in this segment. He was at the ambulance helping Darby Allin get loaded into it. Why doesn't Kevin Knight try and prize Sting's son? 'Cause Sting's son was training with Darby as well. I interviewed Sting's son a little while after, so he was
And
talking about training with Darby.
been doing pretty good in
Mm.
ring as of late from some of the stuff I've been seeing. So I maybe that would happen. That's a possibility. You'll be the first person who has speculated it.
Well, there we go. If it happens, I can be there and say, "Fucking told you so," everyone. The spoiler, as you called me, it was the other day, the spoiler or whatever you said the other day when I was saying about when I said about the machine guns debuting, and then ever since then, it's been an episode of fucking Unsolved Mysteries because they haven't been seen since. Um, anyway, well, look, that was the end of Dynamite. We talked about Osprey and Omega at the start of the show and everything else. So we'll get back to that next week. But again, I need to thank everybody because last week we had 2 million views on Facebook, and this week we've got 3.2 million views
What the fuck?
and
What's going on?
I don't fucking know. Last month we had 10,000 followers. This month we've got 17,000 followers. I don't know, 7.1 thousand followers gained. I don't know.
And I just gotta say, like, if it sounds like we're having fun, guys, it's because we are having fun, and we are extremely grateful. I couldn't wrap my head around it last week, and I can't wrap my head around it this week again.
I have no clue. I just put silly shit on. I put like clips of our interviews on there and stuff. Then I put some like old school videos and whatnot. And if I can find some videos of like what's happened this week on WWE and stuff. I mean, like I put one of like John Cena. You know when Randy Orton RKO'd John Cena, and the first time he turned around, it wasn't Randy Orton, it was Miles Bourne pretending to be Randy
Yeah,
Orton. And then I put that on. 1.2 million people watched that bit.
I saw that number actually. I was kind of flabbergasted by it. I run a page called Sidelines Washington where I cover mainly the Commanders, and some of the stuff I put on there, I do not expect it to pop as much as it does. But
Mm.
like I've touched a couple 100,000 impressions, but like not millions, and that's just what makes this just unprecedented. And we're headed into some of the biggest shows of the year, and let's just hope that number keeps climbing, baby.
It does. And the other one I said well, do you remember when the Undertaker returned as the Undertaker at WrestleMania 20? You may have been a kid at this point, but he returned
Yeah,
as the Undertaker.
I wasn't
Yeah.
conscious when it happened.
Yeah. I probably wasn't with the alcohol I consumed at that point. But that I put that on TikTok and like we've nearly had 1 million views on that. Just like
Making it rain, brother.
making it right. Anyway, live on the channel right now, interview with Mr. Elegance from TNA ahead of lockdown on Sunday. And coming Saturday ahead of the NWA Shockwave taping, Mike Mondo will be on the show, and he's not happy. He's not the cheerleader that everyone what used to be. He's a jacked fucking Mondo, and he's got the ump. So looking forward to you seeing that on Saturday. But Parker, this has just been an absolute fucking nonsense edition today of hitting the turnbuckle. We're going to go and play Find the Motor City Machine Guns, everyone. Until then, though, everyone, we'll be back next week. Buckle down, stay safe. Good.